your attendance today. My name is Dom Pernay with Cornerstone Solutions. We're here to go through and highlight the updates that version 17 of Sage 300 CRE brings to us. It's really quite an exciting time from a Sage 300 perspective. This is our agenda of what we will cover today. So first thing is why Sage 300 CRE, really what's changed there. And then from there, we're going to review some of the different modules. We're going to talk about accounting. You do notice that first thing, where is my TS main? So for those of you that are still utilizing TS main to get into your systems on a daily basis, you do need to be aware that with version 17, TS main goes away. So don't worry, we'll make sure that we show you exactly how to get to everything that you have. We're also going to briefly touch on Sage estimating and some of the updates there as part of 17. There's been a lot done to the estimating program for those of you that haven't ran updates in a little while. And then we're also going to talk about the SQL Replicator. So the idea here is that, and we'll get into this in more detail, but the idea here is that we've been in a pervasive SQL database for quite some time. Now, with version 17.1, we get to move to Microsoft SQL Server. So that's an important piece. And then Sage Mobile Projects. Sage Mobile Projects is the first mobile piece being released that is tied in to the accounting database real time. There will be subsequent things that come from there. So we're going to talk about where that product stands today and how it operates. We'll take you through a presentation on that as well. And from there, we'll talk about futures in there too. And then lastly, Cornerstone Sapphire, that is our hosting solution. So the idea there is to show how the hardware requirements have changed and updated with version 17.1 and how we plan on helping you take advantage of that if it's something that you're interested in. So the first thing, why work with Sage? I always think it's important, even though most of you have been customers really for quite some time, to really just kind of review the product that you have today. While it has been around for many years, it has consistently evolved through that process. So, I don't think that everybody is always aware of how widely used the Sage 300 product is. So I want to make sure that we kind of cover those things first. So what we see here is we've got 50,000 plus companies use Sage products today in North America for construction and real estate. That's obviously not an insignificant number. It's bigger than all of our competitors combined. Then also within there, we add 2+ new customers per hour in North America. We cover all the different phases from pre-construction, estimating, finance, project management, field, which you'll see a lot today with the Sage Mobile Projects, service, and property management as well. And we will even have a little bit of news for you property management customers out there. So we've got over 500,000 construction projects, 7 million subcontracts, and over 600,000 rental units managed with Sage software. It's consistently been the #1 provider of accounting, payroll, job costing, estimating, and project management systems, according to the Construction Financial Managers Association annual survey. And just as a side note, I'm a big fan of the local CFMA chapter here in Chicago. The Midwest Regional Conference is this Thursday. So if you haven't gotten signed up for that, you might want to check cfmachicago.org out. Also in here, all different types of contractors use Sage. 59% of the top 400 according to ENR, 33% of the top 600 specialty and 31% of the top builders use it as well. So the modernization objectives here. So the idea is to give us access anywhere. So to take everything to mobility. Also to update and change the user experience as well as the user interface. So with mobile projects today, you will see what those new look and feels for those UIs are, okay? Also to move us to the industry standard database of Microsoft SQL Server and give us new functionality along the way. We don't simply want to have us take exactly what was there and repeat it, maybe in a web-based format. We also want to give additional functionality where it's appropriate and change the architecture of the overall system. And we'll talk about that as we go along here as well. Okay, so we're going to address these with our modernization of Sage 300 CRE, or for you old school people, Timberline. And part of that is done as part of mobile projects, as well as mobile insights. So mobile insights will give us the ability to run dashboards and data and reporting outside of the office very easily as well from a tablet or laptop or potentially even phone as well. So today, our current architecture, you see all the different modules listed on the left: job cost, project management, property management, service, and so on, all the way through, are all handled inside Pervasive SQL. That's what the P-SQL stands for. And we generate all of our reporting and such from there today. So as you enter data, it posts into SQL. As you generate reports, you run it from that database. With our modernization of the product, we take those same modules and we now make them available in Microsoft SQL. So we utilize a replicator to provide near real-time updates into Microsoft SQL, so that now all of our reporting can be generated through Microsoft SQL. Why is that important? Well, the number one reason, speed. What we find is that your typical report that might take 5 minutes running off the Pervasive database takes less than a minute running off of a Microsoft SQL database. So it is a much more efficient use of the database structure. Now, the other thing to comment on here is that as this modernization takes place, all of your data will move to SQL natively. So what I mean by natively is that your need for Pervasive SQL will go away. So you will not have Pervasive SQL as this modernization completes. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through it. So next thing we see here, let's take just a quick minute and show you what that replicator looks like. So out here on our server, what I have is the replicator software running. It's really quite simple. You're just simply identifying the databases that you want to use and if they're going to replicate. And what that means is that now I actually can go right into SQL, and I'm going to go right into Microsoft SQL here. I realize for most of you, you don't spend your days working in databases like this, but I just like to show everybody to the level that this replication takes place and does so automatically. And now when I go into databases here, notice I have my Gold Coast Group database, my property management database, and my construction database. And if I expand these out, now what it does under my database tables is it shows all of the tables that are part of my Sage 300 CRE system. So any of this information that I wanted to pull from in SQL, This allows us to do a lot of different things. This allows us to actually go through and make a much more efficient use of integrating with Excel and integrating with Access and so on as well. So if I go here to my customer database, I can say, show me the top 1,000 rows. And now what the system will do is it will lay out all the fields that are part of that customer database. And I see my customer names and what type are they and what trade are they, all their address information, credit limits, billing address, all of those types of things, retainage and such, that all shows up for me there automatically. So it's a much faster way to get to the data. It also allows us to provide different levels of security. So what you'll see in mobile projects, it's very easy to then limit things by user. So because of SQL, we now not only have record level security, we would even have the ability to go to field level security. So as we move through this process, we'll have a lot more security options available for you. And just to illustrate, so that's my construction database. If I go to my property management database, same idea, go into my tables, all of my tables expand out for me. They're all listed alphabetically. So I'm simply just going to go down to property management here, and I'm going to grab a lease, right click on it and say, show me the top 1,000 rows, just to give you an idea. And now here is all of my lease information. What property is it? What unit is it? Who's the tenant? You know, balance information, all of those types of things here as well. So all of that data very readily available inside our SQL database. That's once again going to make reporting much, much faster. Now, next thing here, mobile projects. Mobile projects is a project management focused application. It's browser-based, access from all your mobile devices with project-facing tasks. Now, project management and job cost will be the first modules to be completely modernized with the new user interface. From there, Sage will come back and handle additional modules as they go. This is kind of the tentative order over here on the left. As time passes and we get updates, we'll continue to do webinars like this to keep you informed as to what's coming in the future. So with mobile projects, all of that data goes into SQL. We utilize web services from Microsoft, which is called Azure, and that provides that full mobile level support for us. And that data goes back and forth from mobile projects. So as data gets entered in those mobile devices or through those websites, that information flows right back into our pervasive and SQL databases. So think of it this way: if somebody enters a new RFI from the field, that data will be automatically updated inside your project management application once they hit save. So now we can take a minute here and go through a presentation on mobile projects. So we'll start here. Well, we'll start with this guy right here. I've got a favorite out. And what you'll notice is I'm on a browser. I'm on my wireless network. It's going to ask me for my username. I do use my domain name as part of that. And now I hit login. So once I go through and log in, what you'll first notice is it opens up all of the information for me, and it shows me here which database I want to work with. I want to work with Timberline Construction. So I've got open RFIs and unanswered RFIs here. So first, let's get orientated to the screen. So obviously, browser-based application. Over to the left, I can choose to turn on or turn off my tiles over here. I can click my projects and see that information here. I can search the entire site right from utilizing the search capability here, get to support, help, so on and so forth. This is my user profile and where I can log out as well. So once I've come in here, now I have the ability to open up one of my field reports. So I hit open field reports, and I have 2 field reports out here in the system right now. If I want to add a new one, I simply use the red plus button. So the idea here is very easy for me to go through and hit that plus to add a new field report. Otherwise, I can simply hit the button, and now I go into an existing field report right here. And you'll notice here, field report 002, it's for my warehouse. And now I have a series of what we call an accordion-based approach for all of that information. So as an example, if I'm going to look at weather info, I can hit the down arrow, and now it shows me the weather info here. If I decide I want to see that information in more detail, I can pop it open. Notice we do have a get weather capability here, so it will go out to a weather website for where that job is located and download that latest information for me. Okay, I can also update all of that here. I'm just going to hit cancel for now, and I can collapse back up my weather site. I can go to my subcontractors, and now I see what subcontractors have been on site, and I see exactly what trades they are, foreman hours worked, head count, journeyman, so on and so forth, to track all of that information. Same idea. If I simply come in here and hit it, it shows me the information about it, what trade are they, and these are all just pull down lists, and you understand these are completely user definable. Completely. Probably should have made that concrete. And I don't have concrete in my list, so we'll leave it as HVAC. And then I can put in my different head counts and all those types of things and hit save if I want to create a new record. I also have the ability to add attachments here, so I can just drop the files in from here. So if there's pictures and things like that that I want to do, it's very easy for me to grab that information and pull it in here. Also, if I want to make notes. By the way, by adding the attachments here or the notes, those also will go back into your Sage 300 CRE project management module. So all of this data will flow back and forth both ways. Hit save and close here, and now it updates that information for me and tracks it from here. We'll give that just a second to save, and I can continue on to look at additional information here. If I've got potential change order information, I just hit the add button, and now I can come in and put in my types. Now this is part of a daily field report, so it's just one of these things where I can make notes about this. This is not going to be full change order capability at this point today, okay? So I can make some notes on it. Did I notify the project manager, so on and so forth. Save that and move along. All right? So very simple, very easy to use. Now, that's what this looks like when we're using it on a web browser. Let's take a look at what it looks like on a tablet. Give me just 1 second here. And now this is it on my tablet here. So notice I have my tablet in portrait mode. If I turn it to landscape, it updates it for me automatically. One thing, I need to log out there. Now, probably the most important thing I have yet to say is be aware that for those of you that have project management today, you do get a free user of this module with version 17. So you are able to automatically be able to go through and start to work with this. You do not have to purchase anything else. So now I hit my login button here. I'm not going to save my password for right now. Notice the screen looks similar, yet a little bit different. If I collapse this down and turn it to portrait mode, it adapts to it automatically. So now from here, if I want to go in and look at my RFIs, I can simply hit the RFI button, and now it will load that information for me here. Any of this information I want to see, I can pop it open right on my screen this way. And because I'm in portrait mode, it scrolls everything along this way. If I want to turn it back to landscape, obviously it adapts to the screen automatically. So same idea here with that accordion approach. What was the request? What was the answer? And then the ability to add custom fields as well. So in this case here, when I look at the request, I see everything about this, the job, the subject, the urgency, spec section, what's the question, the required date, schedule impact, cost impact, and so on. So all of that shows up here for me. When I hit my action buttons up at the top, notice I can send this RFI right from here, or I can generate a report. I already generated the report just in the instance of time. And now notice when I download it, there's my RFI report. For those of you that use project management and RFIs today, that should look pretty darn similar. It's the same report. That's why it should look pretty darn similar. So now from here, if I want to, I could go back into the site that way. Let me go back here. I've got it saved as a bookmark. I'll pop that guy open here and let it load. You can see it takes me back to my login screen. I should have hit back on that RFI printout instead of closing it. All right, so just wanted to make sure I showed that to you that way. Similarly, and just to kind of close the loop here all the way, let's do this. Whoops. Come back to portrait mode. Turn off my mirroring here. And now let's go on my phone. And we'll show it here on my phone. So now I'm on a phone, obviously, same idea. Probably would be smart of me to save the login information. So now it allows me to log in right through here. Okay, oh, I see what I did wrong. I have a typo. Sorry about that. That's a little better. So now it pops up here. This interface obviously looks a little bit different because it shows me on a phone here, I don't have as much real estate to work with. However, I can scroll through. I can use the search bar. And if I go in here and type warehouse, because I know that was in the name, it will find those for me. I can identify then anything that has that and pick it up from there. So now it'll go through, load that job, and I'll have everything available with that job as well. Any of my projects, I want to see my RFIs, and now when I load those RFIs, here's all the unanswered RFIs for that job. I want to see it. I can open it up right from here, and here is everything we looked at before when we were looking at it on the website. By the way, turn my phone landscape, and it's smart enough to make everything bigger for me. So this is truly adapted technology for all types of mobile devices. And I think also what's important about this is that not only are you seeing this for Sage mobile projects, but as we talk about what's coming in the future, you will then also see how this will work with other applications as well. So let's just disconnect that. I think that gives everybody a pretty good idea as to what we can do. So now from here, let's go in and talk a little bit about kind of what's next, what's coming along here. So the idea here is first thing we see, daily reports and RFIs. Next will be commitment change orders. Actually, we're going to go to another slide. I want to make sure I'm right. So we've got this with, we'll talk about what's coming next. I apologize for that. I don't know that those highlighted items are correct, but I know they are on another slide. So what's coming next? Sage Mobile Insights. So Sage Mobile Insights allows you to have a web-based report manager and customized dashboards from those mobile devices. So inside your tablet, your phone, whatever, or web browser, having access to that data. And we will not be limited to just project management data with that. So the idea is, once again, to utilize this same new technology that's been developed on Microsoft SQL to allow you to get access to this data all through your mobile devices. So here's some sample screenshots. So here's an example. Notice it's the same screen we were just looking at, but the difference is going to be adding a report on here. So now, underneath projects, which you saw today, which was located here, you'll have insights. And then underneath insights, you'll have both dashboarding and mobile reports. So the idea here is these do have to be crystal reports, but you can add any mobile reports into different groups that are user definable out here as well. So now you can go through and create a full list of reports and identify favorites and things like that, so that as somebody has a certain security profile, as a property manager, project manager, whatever the case may be, they get their own grouping of reports once they log on. And so you'll notice here they're grouped. We can manage the group, how many reports we've got loaded, all of those types of things. And then from there, each one of those reports show on my list for me to go through and generate. From a dashboard perspective, the idea is to have the ability to go through and pull dashboarding information from all the modules. So you'll notice in here things like receivables capabilities, market growth, accounting information, whatever the case may be. So you'll be able to pull dashboard information across all of the modules. And that'll be part of that as well. And then in the grand scheme of things, as we move along here, what you'll notice is that this Sage Construction Central becomes a fully featured web-based tool that allows access to dashboarding, insights, even My Assistant notifications as time goes on. So the idea would be that then as different thresholds or items are hit, we can have it push that information out to the mobile devices as well. All right, so where do we stand today? Number one, technical updates. We did, Sage did do an update to the pervasive SQL and also Crystal reports. The TS main is gone. So let's show you what that really means. What that really means is when I come in here to look at my system, what you're going to see is the Sage desktop. And when you open the Sage desktop, what it will open first are all your different modules on the left. So if I want to go to accounts payable and enter invoices, I simply go accounts payable, task, enter invoices. And now it opens that screen for me. So the idea here is that you no longer have to go to TS main, go to accounts payable, and have that entire accounts payable module loaded and running. So very, very simple to use, very easy to use that way. The other things that happen over here is you have the ability to go through and create your own favorites. So you can create your own list of items and things that you're going to use on a regular basis and not use the full applications to where you've got to find your way through everything, right? But I can just simply go into my favorites and identify those items that I want to use. So now I start accounts payable invoices, and with one click, that window has opened for me, okay? So you can call these favorites anything you'd like. It makes it a very easy way to get to your information, but there is no longer TS main. For those of you that fight over users of modules, what we have seen is we see a reduction in that kind of pulling back and forth, because when you go in and you fire up a task like enter invoices, once you're done, you hit finish, now you're no longer a user of AP. So it makes it faster to get in and out of modules as you go, rather than somebody who comes in, signs into job cost, and leaves it going all day long. So that's kind of the first thing here that we've seen. The replicator, which we already talked about, that is installed, and you configure that so that now all of your data shows up in Microsoft SQL. We've also added a new system administrator utility where you can schedule backups and restores within your Sage 300. Also in here, we've introduced the Construction Central with mobile projects. What that means today is daily field reports, also the ability to do attachments and RFIs. Now, lastly, the license administrator for mobile projects changes a little bit here as well. So now your system automatically has your users identified through a license administrator. It's a much easier way of identifying who's using what. The next version will come out in December of this year, and we'll have some technical updates. We'll also have some changes to the replicator. It'll just make it a little bit faster. And probably the most important thing is our Crystal Report conversion tool. I mentioned earlier that by moving your Crystal reports from running off of Pervasive to SQL, you'll get a big gain in performance. Reports will run much faster. Well, to do that today with version 17.1, you'd go into each report and update the database. Doesn't take too long, it takes about 30 seconds to a minute for each one, but if you're not real familiar with Crystal, it takes a few minutes to figure out how to do the first one. Well, with the next version, 17.2 in December, what will happen is there'll be a conversion tool that'll be introduced. So you'll be able to run that conversion tool, and that will automatically go through and update all of your Crystal reports, okay? Also, Mobile Insights Report Manager will be released in December. So we're not talking about waiting forever for these updates. I didn't say this at the very beginning, and maybe I should have. Realize Sage is investing $38 million in your Sage 300 CRE product in 2017, 18, and 19. So that's where all the dollars are coming for this re-architecture. There are currently about a team, I believe, of about 65 programmers that are working on this project as we go, and we will see more releases each year, at least one every 6 months, potentially even more, depending upon what things get done. So in the spring, in our, they're calling that, they're saying right now 17.3. If it's released in 18, it'll be 18.1. But there will be improved banking integration. So we will now have the ability to read cleared checks and deposits from a wide variety of banks, and that will be available in early 2018. Also, payroll time web services will be available. And on the mobile project side, we'll see additional enhancements to the attachment feature. We'll see change requests, change orders, and commitments, and dashboards. So for those of you that aren't running project management but still want to get to data via mobile, you'll be able to utilize the Report Manager and Mobile Insights in December, and then dashboarding in the spring of 2018 will become fully available too. Okay, couple things just to mention here briefly on our upgrade considerations, and then I'm going to turn it over to my son Dominic to talk a little bit about how we've addressed this. If you're currently on version 13 or 14, you must first upgrade to version 15 before you can go to 17. So if you're on 15 or 16, you can upgrade to 17 today. If you utilize Sage Estimating, My Assistant, or Paperless, they must be upgraded at the same time. So if somebody's running estimating today, you cannot leave estimating on version 16. It has to move to 17 at the same time as well. From a hardware requirement standpoint, there's significant updates. They're looking for much more in terms of hardware to run these programs because of this move to Microsoft SQL. We are here to absolutely help. We have an update questionnaire available that we can get to anybody who's interested, and we'll work with you and your IT firm, or we can help by moving you to a cloud-based server. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dominic so he can talk a little bit about the cloud-based servers that we are offering. So let me make him the presenter. And Dom, take it away.
All right, good morning, everybody. As my dad already told you, my name is also Dominic, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about our Sapphire Prime offering that we have put together to kind of help manage this upgrade for you guys. So the first thing that I do want to mention is that you just saw what we have to offer. Everything that Dom showed you as far as server-based desktop mobile projects running in SQL. That's everything, and that's all running inside our Sapphire Prime offering right now. And I know that he mentioned the upgraded requirements, so I just want to show you guys those and give you a really good look at them. First thing you're going to notice is that Windows Server 2008 is no longer going to be supported unless you are strictly looking to run your desktop and no mobile features. So what we have gone ahead and done is we are going to start you on Windows Server 2016 to make sure that you are going to stay current for as long as we possibly can get you. As far as your CPUs go, Intel Core i7 or newer. That is about the newest thing that they have come out with, and it is a pretty bad boy. It'll churn things out for you. It's going to get things moving. The next thing you're going to notice is 32 gigs of RAM. The previous requirement was 8 gigs of RAM. So you're looking at a lot more processing power on that as well. And as far as your hard drives go, your old hard drives aren't even really going to work. We have been shown an environment that didn't use the solid state drive, and it's really not going to work for you. The solid state drive is going to go ahead and allow you to use the SQL replicator and get those mobile features working for you in a productive manner. So here's what we are offering. We're offering two 10-core CPUs that run that Intel i7 core. What that's going to do is that's going to allow almost essentially one CPU to handle all of your replicating needs, and then we'd have another CPU that's going to handle all of your user activity. And that's going to kind of allow that replicator to do its thing in the background, and you're not even going to have to worry about it. We're also going to give you that 32 gigs of RAM that you need. And we can also scale that up to 128 if that's something that becomes necessary. But frankly, I don't know an environment that needs 128 gigs of RAM. And we already talked about Microsoft Server 2016. We're going to put you on the Data Center Edition. It's got the most functionality of any of the offerings that Microsoft has out there. We're going to start you with 200 gigs of storage, and we're going to do nightly redundant backups of your Sage data. So what that means is we are going to build a local backup. We're going to have a backup in Virginia, and we will also have a backup stored in Canada as well, just to make sure that your data is always secure regardless of what happens anywhere, you know, in North America. So it's very scalable as well. We do have the ability to add RAM core storage users all within about an hour's time. I'm not sure how much of this you guys are dealing with on a current basis, but I know that as far as adding storage goes, you have to go through, you have to pick it out, you have to really know that it's going to be able to be implemented into your server, and then you have to wait. You usually got to wait about 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get it, and then you've probably got another couple days before you can get your IT guy in to take care of it. What we do is we simplify that whole process for you. And all we are going to do is we're going to take your request and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that storage for you inside an hour's time. One other alternative that we have to regular help desk is a true IT help desk that is going to manage your entire network for you. So if you're running and you don't really have anybody handling that for you, we have an option for that as well. And the next thing I want to talk about is security. This is one of the biggest things that people worry about. As far as these servers are concerned, you are running behind a firewall that has truly the highest level security available on the market today. U.S. government runs on our CenturyLink backbone, financial institutions, hospitals, all places that really cannot afford to lose security of their data. So we've got that covered for you. So know that you're sitting behind that firewall. You know, you've got that goal line defense right there stopping anybody trying to get in. And savings. So all of your hardware needs, you're going to be able to forget about. You have any kind of issue with the hardware itself, you give me a call, I'll jump in, I'll take care of it for you right away. You also never have to pay for running your equipment on site. You know, costs associated with that, AC to cool the room, electricity, you know, the internal network itself. Next thing is there's no longer a need to order your new hardware, which we already kind of touched on when I was discussing the storage. And the biggest saver for you, your workstations are not going to need to be upgraded. All your users are going to run directly through the server, and all they're going to need to connect to that server is an RDP session. Depending on the level of security that you want to add to that, you absolutely can, and we can set you up with a VPN, things of that nature. But the new requirements for workstations are Windows 8.1 or 10. You're also going to need one of those Intel i7 CPUs, 16 gigs of RAM, and an SSD drive. So to eliminate that cost, I mean, 10-user system, I'm pretty sure the cheapest that I've seen those options at buying brand new machines comes in at around $1,100 per user. So just wanted to give you an idea of that. So right now, we do have a couple discounts going. The first 10 customers to sign up with us are going to receive a discounted rate for their first year. And for everybody else that doesn't quite get there in time for that first 10, we're going to give you an option for a 10% discount on the total year contract. All you're going to do is you're going to pay 25% of that total server cost on the first year, and we're going to take 10% off your total cost. So we're going to send out pricing at the conclusion of the webinar to everybody that's been on here. Discounts will be listed on that document as well. My contact information will also be included on that. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. But that is really all that I've got for you. So I think I'm going to turn it back over to my dad.
Okay. All right. So at this point, just would like to thank everybody for their time and their attendance. And if you have any questions, I think we've unmuted everybody at this point. So if you have any questions at this point, please feel free to speak up. You can use the chat box as well. And I did not really cover the estimating updates, but estimating is in full SQL as well. I'd be more than happy to take anybody through that in detail. Just say the word. So do we have any questions?
I have a question for you.
Yes?
So what about the other core accounting pieces? How does that work?
So the other core accounting pieces today have moved to Microsoft SQL Server. What will happen over the subsequent releases, they will get the project management, job cost pieces done first, and then they will move to the other modules. They have not officially published what modules will be done in what order, but we will see those user interfaces change for accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash management, all of the different modules as we go along. But the first modules to be done are project management and job cost. And then from there, we believe it will most likely go to service management or property management. There is a question for Sapphire, Dom, that says, what speed internet is required for Prime?
So there really isn't a true requirement. It is kind of based on how quick you want your connection to be. And by that, I mean your server is connected at a dedicated 100 meg per second connection. So anywhere up to that, you're not really exceeding it. I would say you don't need to go higher than 100 meg per second, but it does need to be dedicated. You don't want to be dealing with losing your connectivity based on the usage of others.
So one thing I would mention to everyone is what you saw today was Sapphire Prime, and as I'm utilizing it, I'm on a wireless network using Comcast. And we do not have the best Comcast has to offer from a business standpoint. I think we're middle of the road. And that's what we utilize for our internet and run Sapphire that way. Anybody else have? Oh, sure.
I'm sorry. I just want to note one other thing. When he was running the Sage mobile project, he was also running that over a standard 4G connection. So that gives you the idea of how whatever kind of connection you guys are making, that's what it's going to utilize for you.
All right, one other question here. Has the new software been beta tested? Yes, it has. The test group was established by Sage. They're also asking how big is the test group. I don't know for sure. I know that they invited 400 companies to test. I don't know if all 400 tested it, but they started running the beta tests back in May of this year. So it has been tested. It also has been released. I believe it's been released to everyone at this point. There was an initial stepped release of 1,000. Okay, but I'm not. I apologize. Out of those 400, I'm not sure what happened. Okay. So, Don, there's another question from Christy on Sapphire. We do not have the ability to get more than 3 to 6 meg upload or download. I don't think that will work. Do you know if it will? Is that something you want to look into?
Yeah, I can tell you right now that if you all have the ability to run through the internet at the same time, that's really all the connectivity that you need. So that's a pretty good base.
And what you could do today is, if you wanted, you could let her test it by connecting to our server.
Absolutely.
And see how that works. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, we thank you very much for your time. Hope you found this informative. And as you prepare to upgrade to 17, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Reach out to us so that we can help you through that process. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.